Freedom Point podcast listeners, thank you again for joining another episode of the Freedom Point.
My name is Drew McWilliams, and I will be your host alongside my partner, Jeremy Dyer.
I'm so glad you're here with us today.
I believe that passive income is something that everyone can benefit from.
Financial advisors are only allowed to offer investments that are publicly traded on Wall Street.
You don't have to wait until you're 65 and exhausted to have time and financial freedom. This is where you can live off your income that your investments generate.
I will not be an active real estate owner anymore.
I have an awesome guest with me today. Really exciting guests with me today. I have an
amazing
amazing guest with me today. Welcome to the show.
The most important part is the asset management, making sure that thing's running really well.
If you're thinking about starting your business and you start to look at a franchise opportunity, you're going to learn so much about yourself and the business you might be getting into.
So what I did was we closed on it and we kept the loan on the property. That's still attached to the seller's credit.
You have a plan to increase revenues, rents, then you can actually control the value of that property to a large degree.
Somebody that is okay taking a lot of risk, even that person shouldn't have all eggs in one basket, so to speak.
And so a lot of people have deemed it recession proof. I believe I came up with the term recession resistant.
But when properties go out on the market, assets go out on the market, there is no cash, and so what happens? Prices come down.
Let me go find what everyone seems to say is most people's ticket to riches, and that is a mentor. I find someone who had been there, done that.
It's been a challenge, but at the same time, we adjust our models to make it make sense.
Not only will the 1031 exchange accommodate a real estate cycle, it can accommodate your personal life cycle as a real estate investor.
The person in charge or the company in charge is more important actually than the real estate that the group is investing in.
Each kid put in $10,000 and then mom and dad put in the rest. And now each kid is 10% owner in that property.
I think we need to show the audience that you are a pretty sophisticated investor, and maybe your parents being entrepreneur-minded, maybe it brainwashed you from day one.
You know, I think one of the things I've heard someone say is, if you can go back when you're 18 again, what would you do? I said, well, I'm doing it with my kids.
As a percentage of the equity you have in the deal, it goes down every year because the value of the property keeps going up.
Crypto networks that are looking to disrupt trillion-dollar industries.
Pick one thing, pick one asset class, one type of property, pick one, maybe two locations, and really focus on those.
You have to ask these questions, because if you don't, you're not really going to fully understand who you're making a bet on right now and how focused they can be on the property you're about to invest in with them.
But then we learned what it means to have a semi-passive investment, because there's no such thing as a rental that's passive.
The sooner you say, hey, we might have a problem in a year, versus saying, hey, we're not going to have any problem. And then in a year, you're like, dude, we got this massive problem.
You already have instant equity in this home to help you even scale further.
I think people just start to see other people owning real estate and realize that's a great diversification play.
I don't care about the numbers. If you feel like you cannot trust your general partners in an investment, walk away.
So even today, if they're not giving you access to everything, putting a working model, run the other direction.
Every day you'll end up with a sale, on average every other day if you're kind of holding to that pattern.
That means that every time you get a distribution, it's offset. And until you sell a deal, you're not going to pay any tax.
So the roller coaster happens every day. Every single day you have ups and downs.
It's almost like a guaranteed income for 7 years, and then your investment's worth zero.
I shouldn't say it's easy, but it was that simple, right? It was literally just math, and getting my money work harder for me.
Essentially bought the deal, we've executed our business plan, and we've sold the property in a set time frame.
For as many counties as we have in the United States, there's that many ways to understand property taxes.
If something goes wrong within that business, that liability generally should stay or should only be attachable within the assets of that business.
There's a certain amount of risk tolerance that any entrepreneur needs to have to make that step.
Going to do a cost study, you're going to create a big paper loss, and those two things can offset each other because they're both passive, right? And that's the beauty of the timing there.
The majority of the people that are living in these cities, they rent. Multifamily is just really resilient.
The fragmentation of the industry, it allows for investors to actually come in and
streamline operations.
It's harder because the time frame is shorter. They don't have that ability to really focus on that additional 20 years of compounding. That's harder, but they are way more dedicated and diligent.
In terms of who is a franchise right for, all types of people.
You know, people will choose to invest with those that they know, like, and trust.
The market has been extraordinary the last couple of years. And so everyone seems to be getting in the game.
To be successful as a flipper, you really have to be, not even 24/7. You have to be like, 48 hours a day working on your business.
Even in some cases, you can use it to create an unlimited source of income. You buy something, it appreciates, you refinance.
It's a very, very selective process because at the end of the day, our investor returns are by far our most important metric.
But to get that down payment, I had to get creative because if I was relying on my 9 to 5, I was not making much money at the time. It would have took me years to come up with that kind of money.
If you put your money in the bank in a CD, you can draw it out early, but you're going to pay a penalty.
So the positive is I get to practice what we preach all day long because I own a homestead and I get to show proof in the pudding of how this actually works.
Some drawbacks that could be kind of major for real estate investors to think about is you cannot use financing in an IRA.
You have to find some sort of focus where you could get an edge, so to say, against maybe other investors that don't see what you see.
Flipping land, it just kind of mimics what happens with wholesaling houses. And it's actually kind of drifting more in that direction.
But the second property, we made over $500,000 right before, 2 weeks before the real estate market crashed.
The profit of the property is based on not necessarily a comp like a single family home. It's based on the rents, the net income.
The returns may not be as great when you're just optimizing for, say, efficiency.
Essentially, when you're investing in a project that is a value add project, initially the property either doesn't make any money or makes very little money.
It's knowing that information that's going to help you understand how that investment's going to work.
I think due diligence still obviously very, very much required, maybe more so than before.
It's not so much the initial buy and the initial exit that's the problem, it's the in-between, it's the operations.
It takes a long time to build up enough of those opportunities to really make a living off of just your real estate.
Hard assets are a hedge against inflation. Physical, tangible assets.
But we stand on the shoulders of giants and get what they left behind.
Profits from one business can be reinvested into the other one and vice versa.
But what I always try to encourage people to think about is what is it that you actually know about, right? Or understand and want to learn about.
I tell people all the time, I've gotten more hugs at probate closings than any other type of closing.
Once you've tasted the agency of controlling your own life by running your own business, no one seems to be willing to give that up.
We look forward to having you join us on the next episode.